Alright, here we go. I'm Peter Anton. This is Drawing for Absolute Beginners, Lesson 3. What do lines represent? A lot of these ideas are going to be coming from Drawing Lessons from the Great Masters by Robert Beverly Hale, although some of these ideas and observations are my own. But that's pretty much the intro, so let's just get right into it. I only have 10 minutes, so let's go quick. The first way we could use line is outline. Very simple. We just go to... We're describing the outer contours of a form. This is a drawing by Michelangelo, and you can see very prominently he's using line to describe the outer edges of this form. Notice how he can also overlap the lines to bring one form, this shoulder, in front of the arm just by creating an overlap there. Just a small side note. Okay, we're going to keep moving very quickly. Next, color and tone. Right here we have a white background with black dots. If we wanted to represent this as a drawing, we could just do dot, 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 and those lines are representing the outer edges where this white tone transitions to that black tone. Now you can also represent color this way. These are the exact same value. If I desaturate these, that's the value without the color. And I'm going to desaturate this red as well. They're the exact same value, but different colors. So we could also use a line to represent that change in one color to another color, despite the fact that they're the same value. So line can also represent a shift in color. Now we're going to go to plane change. So, let me get rid of this layer. Okay, so when we go to planes, here, these lines are currently representing an outer edge, okay? But look, I'm going to add something to it, and look, these are still outer edges, but these lines now represent a plane change. It represents the plane change from A to B, A to C, as well as C to B. It represents that plane change. And now these are the lines which represent the outer edge. Okay, we're going to move on. Doing a very quick cursory view of all these just to go into some light theory. Now we're going to go into line which explains form, visible. Now that distinction's important as artists. So here we have the stripes of a zebra which wrap around the form. And if you were drawing this, you might even alter the lines to better describe the form. We can see the lines wrapping around the form, around the legs. Okay? The wrapping paper, the lines go here, and then they go down. They follow the form. On a scarf, we can see these lines describing the form. We can see more clearly how the lines fold in, how these lines are lost, and we can very clearly see that these lines, let me get a different color, go over these lines. And we can see exactly how this scarf is wrapping around by the visible pattern on it. But what happens if we're working with the human form and we don't have visible lines? Well, then we have to imagine them as artists. So you can imagine ants crawling with ink. Ants crawling with ink on the bottom of their legs, okay? Or you can imagine a ribbon wrapping over the form. So we're imagining a line which wraps around the form of this horse. See, I'm just imagining if I'm an ant crawling along here, where is that going to go? It's kind of like if you were to wrap this in like a striped piece of cloth, take that scarf I just showed, and wrap it around this form, what would it look like? Now sometimes you'll draw these, and sometimes you'll just imagine them, imagine these lines, to see how this form is working. And that'll help you draw it better, because you can break it down better if you can feel the form that you're drawing. So that's the other way we can use line. Lines that aren't necessarily visible, but we can imagine them. Okay, another way, this is one that wasn't in Robert Beverly Hale's book, but that I, picked up on from just reading comics, is that we can use line for motion, for a blur effect. These lines are showing, gosh, okay. Let me make a new layer. New layer. Okay, these lines are indicating the motion. These are copyright Musashi Kishimoto. This is from Naruto. Just don't want to steal anything that's not mine. Look at how these lines represent motion. We can tell what the figures are doing by the distortion of form and the direction of the lines. The longer the line, it would seem, the faster the motion. There's only a little bit of motion here because the lines are shorter. This one's moving very quickly because it's more blurred. We can also see how the direction of the line changes. These lines are spinning. These lines are also long, so it's very fast at this point. There's less movement over here, just judging by the length of the line. So that's another way that line can be used, is motion. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about lighting. These are drawings by Bugaro. He's an amazing painter. Let's look at his drawings. Look at how thick that line is. Look at how thick that line is. Look at how thin it is in comparison to these lines. That creates a sense of lighting. The light is coming from up here, right? So anything facing away from the light, especially here, he uses a heavier line to indicate that these areas are on the shadow side. So he uses a lighter line coming on the planes that are facing the light. He uses a lighter line. On the planes that are facing away from the light, he uses a darker line. See, down here the lines are very thick. Up here, the lines are very thin. Especially even here, we get lost edges where we can barely even see a line. The line gets so light that we can't even see it anymore. Whereas down here, in the folds where no light can get in, it's a very dark line. So that's a very casual, cursory look at line. Check out this book by Robert Beverly Hale. This wasn't the most professional video, but I just wanted to put something out there, keep the videos moving, and hopefully this gave you some idea of how we can use line, and I hope to detail some of these ideas further in future videos. This was just a very cursory glance. So with that, keep drawing. As you look at art and read comics, look for the ways that artists use line and see if you can see any of these ideas represented in the whatever you consume in terms of art. So keep drawing, love the journey, and I'm tired, so I'm going to bed. Have a good week. Bye.